What's up, my dudes? This is the track review of the Castillo Ranch 2017 made by Race Carlin. So basically what we got here is a pretty insanity double whoop section right out of the gate, and then we've got a fairly difficult style of a rhythm section here and there. It's kind of like one of those tracks where the rhythm sections are either like an 11 difficulty or they're like a 5 difficulty. You don't really have like a what I would call just a standard pro line. You basically have like a super expert line, or you have like an amateur line. So that's kind of how this track is. It's either going to be, you either got to be wicked fast to hit the big shit, or you just got to be kind of good to hit the medium stuff. It's a little bit of a different style here than some other tracks out there. Fairly narrow filling, and the off track is pretty much what you got is basically just you have a skybox, and then you have some little bit of raised terrain here and there, and it looks like some of those bigger mountain style statues in the background as well. But fairly basic as a overall sense of a track. There's not really any a ton of objects. I'm not sure exactly what the real life Castillo Ranch looks like. I'm sure it's probably pretty accurate to it. So but you can see all the off-track decal over here is like it's actually made from a real life map of the track, I'm assuming, because that's what it looks like here. So I mean, I'm suspecting this is pretty much probably exactly what it looks like, and the on-track decal has a pretty cool, unique look to it. Got a kind of a darker dirt with little white rock pebbles mixed into it. I don't know if I've ever really seen this exact decal on any track before, so definitely looks super realistic. I think that's what really brings this track together, is the fact that the actual on-track decal is so high-res, realistic looking, and the off-track, the mountains look really, really good, and it's not just like one decal placed over and over and over on the off-track, because if it was like that, if it was like a basic decal on the track and then a really basic decal off the track, then this track would be basically like a beginner-level track right here. So he's managed to pull it together with certain aspects of the track. Now the rhythm sections, it's its own style of a track. There's no doubt about that. It's definitely something you're going to have to get used to when you get on the track. It's not like you can really compare it to anything else. So it's kind of all depends on how you look at it. But I enjoy different styles of tracks like this. It's just some of the transitions can feel a little weird here and there, but I do enjoy some, like that section right there has got a cool little rhythm to it. I'm not sure if you could triple this big jump all the way over. I'm pretty sure you could. You just have to get super hella lucky on landing the downside of the triple landing, because you'd be jumping into a rhythm section there. But the traction, I don't know. I think it's okay. I would call it okay. I wouldn't call it amazing. Definitely can be a little bit inconsistent at times, and I don't know if that's so much the traction as much as it is maybe the just kind of the narrowness of the track. Now the corners are super tight. I think that may be a little bit more of what is actually causing that more so, like the weird little slippage you'll have here and there. I mean, you obviously want some slippage on a track, but it's kind of hard to explain it. I guess this color of dirt just looks like there wouldn't be that much slippage on it whatsoever. It looks like a really good traction dirt, but once you actually get on it and you start going super quick in the corners, you really hammer the gas and try to blast a corner, sometimes it'll give you that little bit of an inconsistent sort of fishtail kind of feeling to it, but it's not bad. I mean, it's not horrible by any stretch of the imagination, but that jump right there is definitely a huck. You know, you pretty much got to be an expert to hit that all the way to land on top of that tabletop. So that's basically how every section is on this track. Like, you pretty much got to be an expert to huck that all the way over. So it's like a super hard track, but a super easy track at the same time. You know, like if you don't go for the big stuff, then it's going to be like an amateur track. But if you go for the big stuff, it's going to be harder than a pro track. So a little bit harder. I wouldn't say a lot harder, but definitely a little bit harder. Now these whoops, they're very close together, pretty rounded, I mean, they're big in height-wise, but they're really close together, so it makes it for quite the challenging experience because you have to be real careful with your whoop entry and not skip over too many of them because of how close they are together, and the fact that at the end of some of the whoop sections it really drops off into the berm of the corner, so you kind of get like a bizarre kick sometimes when you're coming into if you really hit the whoop super hard and then you come into a corner, it can give you kind of a bit of a weird feeling there. But I mean, you can see the on track. It's fairly simple as a whole. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure how the real life track looks. I'm sure this is probably fairly similar because I know how most of the kind of practice style training tracks, they look a lot like this. So I'm pretty sure he's probably fairly accurate with it. But I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit more he could have added to it here and there. But I do think in his actual post, he said that he wasn't all the way done with it, but he was just ready to finish the track and release it. So you know, I mean, there's always more things you can add, you know, and that's kind of the thing about artistry with anything. There's always more you could have done or could do or whatever, but it just gets to a point where it's like you can either spend another year and a half on it or you can just go ahead and release it, you know. So, I mean, I've had that happen with a bunch of my tracks as well, just ready to get it released, you know, like, and then certain aspects you can overdo it and then it's not even what it was at one point in time before that. So that can also happen as well. But yeah, you got to learn these transitions. They're a little bit different, like I was saying. You got to learn the tightness of the corner and the narrowness of the track. You'll find yourself kind of shooting just right off of the side of the track in a lot of occasions just because of how narrow it is. It's got a super hyper-realistic narrowness to it. And the fact that there's no tough blocks, it can be a little bit hard to stay on the track at times, but I do really like that fast section where you come back around and then get back on the whoop sections. But definitely a tricky two sections of whoops. The fact that they're both right in a row like that makes it very, very challenging. I could see how beginners would get really choked up on that, both those whoop sections right there. But either way, I'm going to give this track overall, let me get in this one view. Let's see what he's actually got out here. So, yeah, he's basically what he's got. It's like a statue all the way around. And then he's got a skybox. He's got statue mountains all the way around. Then he's got a skybox that's got mountains in it all the way around. And then he's got raised up terrain with the overlay of the real-life map built up as another mountain. So it's pretty interesting what he's done here. He's basically got like 3 layers of mountains in this bitch. So it's pretty sick. I like how he did that. Even though it's pretty basic in a sense, he's got it like, you know, where it still is, it's not just like one thing. You know, it's not just like one skybox of a mountain or whatever. It's actually got like multiple layers and levels to it there. But as an overall track, I would probably give it a I mean, I don't know. It's you can tell there's been some work put into the on track for sure. Just getting everything right, getting the lengths of some things right, and I'm sure you could probably hit some of this bigger stuff that I wasn't hitting. Let me actually play this back. I hit some massive ass rhythm section over here. I don't even know. I just like randomly figured out that I could hit that. What you can do is do like a quad. I guess like a quad and then another quad. I don't even know. Fucking Lord Farquaad. I think it's probably like could be like a 5. I'm actually not even sure. But that one jump right there, I think you might be able to jump that all the way to the corner if you hit it real hard. But you quad there, you huck that, which is another quad. So it's quad, quad. Okay. I think this is the big daddy right here. This is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the hard part about it is you land like directly in a corner. So you come off that quad, then it's hook, 5 over that. So it's quad, quad, 5. And then you got to try to get on the brakes. Do you know how hard that is to hit a 5 and then get on the fucking brakes of that amount of distance? That takes some hella skill right there, dude. That is not easy, man. It would have been cool if he had to sweep this corner out just a little bit more to make it a little bit more consistent to be able to hit that, but that is a jump if I've ever seen one, dude. God dang. Slam on the brakes. Yeah, it's almost like you got to ricochet off of this berm just perfectly, and then you got this one double that you really got to be patient with and time it out perfectly. Then you got another humongous huck to there, and then you come around that next corner, and it's another really big huck. It can almost feel like the track is almost too narrow for the amount of big hooks that there is. Like it's like the track doesn't allow you to get the speed you need to hit the bigger hooks at times and set up properly in the corner to still hit the big hooks. But it's definitely not terrible. It just, at times, it can kind of feel like some parts of the track are dwarfed in comparison to the jump distances you need to be hitting in a certain sense. But a cool little kind of little double, I don't even know what you call that right there, but it's definitely cool. You got to make sure you jump that all the way over and then get on your brakes really hard. Couple sections, you really got to know how to use your brakes on this track. So I'm going to give this thing a... I do like what he did with the off track, even though it's simplistic. I like how he put it together here. In an overall sense, I mean, I'm going to give this thing a 7, and I'm going to say the difficulty is you're probably looking at hard on this thing if you're really wanting to hit some of this bigger stuff. So either way, I appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.